On episode 159 of the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast, I will give you my 11 best tips for fitness. The show notes for this episode can be found at 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/159. Have you decided you're ready to make a change? To reclaim your health and fitness? The 40 Plus Fitness Podcast is here for you. I'm your host, Alan Meisner. I'm an NSAM certified personal trainer with a specialization in corrective exercise and fitness nutrition. Let me be your coach as you find your way on your health and fitness journey. All right, let's go. October is Gratitude Month at 40 Plus Fitness Podcast. You can join this conversation at 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/group. I hope you will join us because every day we're going to be posting our daily gratitudes, and I hope you'll be part of this conversation. I also wanted to take a moment just to give a little shout out. Today is September 30th, the day this podcast is going live, and today is International Podcasting Day. So if there's some podcasts out there that you really enjoy, I'd really appreciate if you take some time to go out there and let them know how much you care by leaving a rating and review. I can tell you that most people that I know that have a podcast really do pay attention to those ratings and reviews. They do care to know what you think of them, and they'd like to know, that you're listening and that you care. So today, again, is International Podcast Day. Go out, find some podcasts that you enjoy, and leave a rating and review. So today I'm going to give out 11 of my best my best fitness tips, podcasting tips. That's funny. No, 11 of my best fitness tips. And, so with this, I think this is a great opportunity for you to kind of get a piece of paper out and be thinking about how you can incorporate each of these tips into your lifestyle to improve your overall fitness. My number one tip is that you need to warm up. A cold muscle is a tight muscle. And if you try to do something dynamic, if you try to move and you really haven't taken the time to warm up properly, you really do risk injury. And why this is number one, not necessarily number one overall as far as importance, but it is extremely important. It's definitely way up there in the list, is that if you were to injure yourself, you could be out for weeks. And at our age, being over 40, those injuries, that time down is really a bad thing. I really can't stress this enough, that injury prevention should be your number one priority for most of your workouts as you go through, because any amount of gain that you get could be lost with just one small injury. So very important to do a good warm-up. And just to kind of give you a general idea of maybe what I do is I want to make sure each morning when I get up that I go and do some just basically moving and walking around. And in any muscle group that I know I'm going to be working, I want to do two things. I want to make sure that after I get my body pretty well warmed up, and again, it's a very slow gradual warm-up. I'm not going to get out and do a whole lot necessarily up front. It might just starting out as a little walking, maybe moving my arms around, maybe swinging them around, just kind of making sure that I'm getting the blood flowing through all of the muscle groups. I'm then going to take some time to do some basic mobility and stretching for the muscles that would prevent me from moving the muscles I want to move. So, every muscle you have kind of has an alternating set of muscles that provide the resistance against that muscle. So basically one muscle is stretching while the other muscle is getting shorter and contracting. And so I make sure that if there's a muscle group that's going to prevent me from being able to do the full range of motion with the muscle that I want to work, that I go ahead and loosen those muscles up really good. Once I've done that, now I'm ready for some dynamic movements with those muscle groups that I'm going to be working. And that dynamic movement then is how I really get that muscle primed to do the work that I want to do. So again, it's kind of this gradual, slow, then work on the muscles that are going to push against you, get those loosened up really good, and then you're ready to do some dynamic work. The dynamic work and dynamic stretching is important because if you do a static stretch of a muscle that you want to do strength work with, it's actually going to inhibit and prevent that muscle from being as strong as you want it to be. So again, the warm up and stretching, very important, but it's important for you to kind of also do those in the right way. The next tip I want to give is when you do a workout, try to have a purpose to it. Now, you don't have to do this every day. You might just decide, it's a beautiful day, I'm going to take the dog for a walk. And no, you don't necessarily have to have a purpose other than, again, yeah, the dog needs to go for a walk, and you probably do too. But kind of have a purpose in mind for the workout that you're there to do. Understand what that workout is going to do to further you down your fitness path. Because if my purpose, my basic why for working out was that I want to get stronger and I want to have more stamina and I want to be basically flexible, well, if I just start doing a bunch of cardiovascular work, that's not necessarily going to give me more stamina, strength, or mobility, particularly if I'm just doing it in one direction. So if I just get on elliptical and just chronically go for an hour, that's not necessarily helping me along the routes of the things that I want to be doing for my health and fitness. Now, it might just be I want to get a good sweat on and I don't care. But I would say for most of your workouts, do have some purpose and understand why you're there and what you're accomplishing with that workout. And it will make that work much more efficient and much more effective towards getting you down the road towards your goals. Okay, kind of along that same lines is now, once you do have a purpose going into the gym, focus. Okay, so number 3 is focus. And I don't know how many times I'll walk into the gym, and obviously it wasn't always like this, but now everybody's got their phones out and they've got the headphones on and they've got their phones out and they're sending text messages between every set. They're basically walking with a screen in front of them if they're on a treadmill. Everything is focused outward and they're not really sensing or paying attention to what's going on in their body, the recovery that's happening during that rest period. Do they need water? Are they really giving the intensity of that work? How are they feeling? Are they, all those different things are things that you should be doing when you have purpose and then now you have focus. And the best way to see improvement for the work that you're doing is to kind of pair those two together. So really have that purpose and then really have that focus. And again, so many people want to zone out while they're in the gym. And I'm just telling you that you can do that and you'll see some benefit to the work you're doing because obviously you're doing work, but you're going to see a lot more work if you can put focus into what you're doing because you're going to be able to up your intensity to just the right level that you don't break, but you just improve. And so that focus is really going to make sure that the work you're doing matters because that hour or 45 minutes or however long you're spending in the gym, it needs to pay you back. And so I kind of want to look at it from the perspective of this. Let's say I went to the gym for work, and if I paid attention to my work, I could make $20 an hour. But if I don't pay attention to my work, I'm going to make $10 an hour. Okay, 2 people go into the gym, and one has focus and one doesn't. A year from now, who's going to be the fitter person? And you got that. The person that puts the focus into what they're doing is going to incrementally get more every single day. Maybe not double, but they're going to get more every single day from each session. And over time, that incremental little bit of value, that incremental little bit that they're going to get back out of that is going to put them head and heels above an individual that just doesn't focus on why they're there. The next one, and again, when I said that warm-up wasn't necessarily number 1 because there's some others that are very, very important, and that's form. If you don't use good form when you do your exercise, you risk injury. And again, just like with the warm-ups, if you get injured, you're out of the game. And so the 2 times that I see people really hurt themselves is when they don't properly warm up the muscles, and then 2, when they don't use good form for the exercises. If you don't know the form, ask. Do some research. There's tons of stuff on YouTube. If you want me to look at it, just let me know. I don't mind spending a little bit of time with you because it's that important. For you to injure yourself puts you out of the game. And bad form will eventually break you down. You need to make sure you have good form. And this is good form whether you're lifting weights, whether you're running, whether you're even doing mobility work. Just making sure that you've got it right, you're doing it right. Those are all very important because an injury puts you out of the game. And being out of the game means no improvement. And it may actually mean that you regress some depending on how bad you're injured and for how long you're out. The 5th one that I want to talk about is consistency. So, again, the individual that applies focus is going to see incremental benefit. The individual that keeps coming back is going to see long-term benefits. So if you make it there and you show up on the gym on the 1st of January, which is very, very common, and you push it really hard, and then you're like, well, the next day I was sore and the next day I was sore, so I didn't work out. Then I went back on the 4th, okay? You worked out on the 4th, and then you were sore on the 5th and 6th. And then you went ahead and just took out the 7th because that was a day it didn't work out on your schedule. So now you're back there on the 8th, okay? And then on the 8th, just kind of blah, you really weren't feeling it. So you left halfway. And then the next time that you came back in the gym was the 13th. And then because you'd missed so many days after that, it was maybe the 20th or the 21st you get back in there. And finally, you just give up on it. And I can tell you, that story plays out year after year after year. I mean, I've been going to the gym for well over 35 years. And I can tell you that January is packed. The gym is packed. But you can watch individuals that show up at the beginning, and you can see those individuals slowly not be there given days. So, one of the funny things, the interesting things about gym culture is that we all tend to work out at the same time. We're on a schedule. Everybody's on a schedule. And so a lot of us that come in and work out before work, some people will come in after work, but you see the same faces over and over. So we all know who the gym people are. We know by just looking at that. We see them every day. Then the individuals that come in and then don't show that consistency eventually just fall out because they're not seeing the results and they just give up on it. So if you want to be someone who sees results, you want something that's going to help motivate you and keep you engaged, you got to keep coming. So what I would encourage you to do is make it an appointment on your calendar. And I want you to think about this appointment as you're making an appointment with your boss, okay? And if your boss told you that you had to be at your meeting at 6 o'clock in the morning or you would lose your job, you would be there at 6 o'clock in the morning. You might not like it. You might not like rolling out of bed at 5:30 so you can get your clothes on and go, but you would be there. And if your boss scheduled a standing meeting at 6 o'clock 3 days a week, well, you would be there. Well, you're the boss of you. So if this is a priority for you, if this is something you really, really want, make it a schedule, set an appointment, get your gym back out the night before, get it set up and ready to go. Roll out of bed when the alarm goes off. Don't hit the snooze. And consistently keep going. And that's when you're going to really start seeing the benefits because, again, this is a cumulative growth thing. If you're showing the consistency and doing these other things, you're going to see results. And that's going to pay you, and you're going to see it, and then you're going to want to keep coming back. And there'll be a point where you just get the bug. And whatever you choose as your athletic event, whatever you choose for what you want to do, once you start seeing the results, I think you're going to get the bug and you're going to want to keep coming. But you got to start with that consistency to get to that point. The runner's high doesn't happen until you get to just a certain fitness level, and then you'll start to feel it, and then you'll see it, and then it'll happen. Okay, the next one is push. And this is related a little bit to focus, but you have to really kind of push yourself through some uncomfortable things from time to time. Lifting weights, running, they're not comfortable. And if you quit when it gets a little tough, well, then you're just not quite getting to that point where you're going to see the greatest gains. The word is intensity, is what I'm really trying to get to here with this word push. But I want to use the word push because intensity can be overblown. You can overdo intensity. So with push, I want you to think of it like this, that you're living in a little bubble. Okay? And it's a little bubble that you're sitting inside of, and you want to have a bigger bubble. Okay? So to have a bigger bubble, if you just really push hard, really quick against the walls of that bubble, the bubble's going to burst. But if I push just ever so slightly, so again, if you've ever blown a bubble, you know that if you blow the bubble really, really slow, you have the potential to make the bubble really, really big. If you try to blow it really fast, you'll just blow through the bubble and it'll be done. So think of intensity. Think of the push as just that gradual progression where you're going to make your fitness bubble bigger and bigger each time. So just a little more push this time. Now, with push, if you felt that the bubble was starting to get unstable, you would let it go a little bit. You wouldn't really force it. And that's the same thing with progression. Some days, your energy level's not necessarily going to be as good as it was before. There's a lot of reasons for that. It could be just your monthly cycles of how you go. It could be your circadian rhythm. Maybe you didn't get really good sleep. Maybe you didn't recover from the last workout as well as you did. Maybe there's just a few hormone things going on. All those things need to be taken into account. And if you're keeping a good little journal, you'll kind of understand when your energy levels are high, when they're low. And then that'll help you become more educated on your body and when it's appropriate to push and when it's not. And so again, but you need to work on that push as you go and not just do the same thing every single workout, because over time, you're just not going to see the growth and you're going to stay in the bubble you're in. And if you want to get better, you have to push. The next one is rest. And rest is important because rest is when the magic happens. We do the work, we challenge the muscle, we challenge ourselves through the run. And through the challenge, now we've created all the metabolic things that need to happen for our body to recover and become better. The cool thing about our body is it's just got this adapting ability that if we push it just a little bit, it has the ability to come back a little stronger each time. So a little bit of push puts us in that recovery mode. And then again, if we go through the process now of letting it properly rest, we're going to be there. So for a muscle group that you're working and you're kind of pushing it, I would say you're going to want to give it 48 to 72 hours. So don't do the same workout every single time, every single week, every single day. Some people will do that. They'll go in, say, I do a full body exercise set every single morning, and then I get on the cardio machine and I just go. And the reality is they'll never really be able to push it, because if they pushed it, then they wouldn't recover and they wouldn't be able to do it the next day, and they would feel like they were letting themselves down. So understand, your muscles do need that rest time. So initially, it's fine. If you're going to do resistance work, do it one day, take 2 days off, and come back the next day. And then if you fully recovered, then go ahead, do that push, and then 2 days. Maybe eventually you can work that down to where it's every other day. If you're recovering fast enough, you'll get the sense so that that's happening. If you're not, then you can do that. Now, once you start advancing, you say, okay, well, I want to mix it up. There's opportunities for you to split up muscle groups and do them different days. Initially, there's no reason to do that. I think you can do a full body exercise, get it all done in about 45 minutes to an hour. If you just keep moving, keep on it, keep pushing. You take your breaks that you need between those sets, but you don't overdo it because you're focused. So you're not on your phone for an hour in between sets. You're literally paying attention. I get 60 seconds between this set, and the only reason you'd be looking at your phone is to count 60 seconds if there's not a clock ticking that you can see. But again, you're going to want to make sure that you're getting proper rest so that you can recover. Now, the next one, number 8, also similarly relates to recovery, and that's nutrition. And there's 2 things I want to talk about with regards to nutrition. The first one is your body needs good building materials to build a better you. If you're putting crap in your body, like marshmallows and cakes and candies, and while they may have some protein in these things, it's not a quality protein. And so the muscles that you're rebuilding with defective protein. So, go ahead and start working on putting better food in your body, because better food is better fuel. It's better building materials. And there's only 3 reasons to eat. One is it's a building material. So your body needs protein and fats to build the rest of the body, to replace the parts that the cells that are going out. It's going to replace those with new cells. To do so, it needs fats, it needs proteins. To build muscle, particularly, it needs the proteins. So getting an adequate amount of protein, not too much, not too little, and you'll feel it. If you're recovering well, then you're getting adequate protein. If you start gaining weight, you might be eating too much protein. You can kind of balance that out. So good quality food to build your body. Now, the third reason that we would have food second reason. First reason is building materials. Second is fuel. Your body can use carbohydrates or fats for fuels. It can also use protein, but you probably need less carbohydrates unless you're doing high endurance work. If you're just doing basic lifting, weightlifting, then a moderate amount of fats, a moderate amount of protein, and a moderate amount of carbs works for most people. You can tweak it. I'm a little bit more of a low carb, high fat person myself, but that's what works for me. And I've tried that over and over again, and that's how it works. So the second one is fuel. Beyond the fuel, beyond the building materials, the only other reason you eat is for enjoyment. So again, a whole nother reason to really focus on high quality food, because I can tell you that the pizza you're going to get in that box isn't going to taste nearly as good as if you took and got a small piece of beefsteak and some great vegetables, and you stir fry those vegetables all together with coconut oil. You got some garlic in there, you got some good spices, and then you go in and take that steak and you marinate it in some good olive oil or something, and then, and some vinegar, and then you toss that on the grill and get it to a nice texture that you like. You've got this nice little steak, 3 ounces maybe, and you got all these great vegetables, and that makes up your dinner, that's going to taste infinitely better than that pizza. And if you do a little bit of the prep ahead of time, like say you want to marinate steaks for 2 or 3 days, marinate some chicken for 2 to 3 days, you can put that stuff in plastic Ziploc bags, put that in the fridge. You got the vegetables all set there. You could cut them up early. And one of the cool things about some vegetables, particularly like kale and whatnot, is if you cut them up and let them sit, they actually build up more antioxidants, more nutrition as a function of that. So cutting some of that stuff, pre-cutting some of that stuff, having it ready, when you get home, toss the coconut oil, you start warming up that pan, you get the grill going, get it warm, toss that steak on there, start stir frying your vegetables in, turn your steak a few times, and boom, you come out with a great little dinner. Doesn't take too much time. I think you could probably prepare that entire meal in less than the 15 minutes that your microwave pizza is going to sit in the oven. I mean, your pizza that you have that got out of the freezer is going to sit in that. And this is going to be a much better nutritious meal for you. It's going to taste a lot better. So all the way around, you're going to enjoy the meal more. It's going to provide you with the building materials you need and the fuel. So nutrition, nutrition, nutrition. You really need to focus on that because the quality of the food matters. And then the other side of it is there's not a big deal about timing. I mean, yes, there's maybe an incremental window of where you could pull in a little bit more carbohydrates, a little bit more protein, but don't boil the ocean on this right now. The main thing is just eat to satiety, eat slowly, get yourself full, get yourself comfortable, and then tweak your food as it affects your body. And you'll be able to see this, and over time, you'll get to know how your body reacts. If you're good at putting good quality food in, you're probably going to eat less food. As a result of eating less food, you're going to see the body composition. You're going to see the work that you're doing in the gym because all is going to come together for you over time. Okay, the next one is hydration. I tend to overhydrate when I'm in the gym because it's just kind of my general habit of being in the gym. I almost walk to the water fountain and take a swallow almost between every single set. It's really just a patience thing because, a lot of times when I'm in there and I'm focused, I just really want to hit those weights straight away. I want to get right back on and do that set. I did a great set. I feel really good about it, but I just want to get right back in there. But I know I need to take 90 seconds off and really kind of my timing of saying, what am I going to do for 90 seconds? Because I don't want to do anything else but think about those weights. I'll sit there and just walk to the water fountain, take a swallow, and walk back. Hydration is important because hydration does two things for us. One, the muscle draws in water when we are working it. So when you work the muscles really hard, they draw in muscle, they draw in water. And that's on purpose because that water is then the mechanism for shuttling out a lot of the waste byproducts that happen from working that muscle. So all the firing and all the stuff that's going on in the muscle with ATP and all those different things, all that's going on is creating these byproducts that the muscle then wants to try to get rid of. So it's pulling water in, so when we get done and that water pumps back out, it pulls all that bad stuff out. Not all of it, but most of it. Because you'll feel some DOMS later if you're new to this kind of stuff. But over time, you'll get more efficient at this. So making sure that you're well hydrated is going to really improve your performance in the gym. And that higher performance is then going to let you push a little bit harder. If you listen to some of my supplement stuff, I've talked about creatine a couple times. And creatine is a tool for helping the muscle get more water. That tool, the creatine, getting more water into the muscle, is a way that helps you recover more quickly from your workout. So again, just one of those things of saying you really need to stay hydrated and making sure that the muscle's getting it. And when I say hydration, I am not talking about Gatorade. I'm not talking about all those energy drinks. What you need is water. And if anything, if you want any kind of electrolytes or something like that, just put a little bit of sea salt in your water. You'll hardly taste a couple pinches of sea salt in a 16-ounce bottle of water, but it'll give you a little bit of that extra hydration that you want. But again, just drink water. I walk to the water fountain, take a sip, walk back. Some cases I might have a water bottle with me when I'm walking or running. Just those types of things, making sure that you're staying hydrated is going to help your performance, and that will reflect in the benefits that you get from this. And then number 10 is reevaluate. And what I mean by reevaluate is over time, you may see if you're doing a particular program that you hit some level of plateau. And that's completely normal. So if you're hitting a plateau or you're not seeing results from your work, it's time to reevaluate what you're doing and maybe change some things up. Maybe you need to go, maybe you were doing 3 sets at 8 at a given weight and you're just not seeing the strength gains that you want to see. So maybe what we're going to do is instead of doing 3 sets of 8, what we're going to do is 4 sets of 5. Okay? And those 4 sets of 5 are going to give us basically almost the same volume. With the 4 sets of 5 now, though, we can raise the weight because we're not trying to do 8 each set, we're only trying to do 5. So working with heavier weight now is going to kind of put a stressor on our muscles to make it maybe change up and work up. Maybe sometimes what we want to do is drop the weight and go up to 12 reps. And so now we're going to pump those 12 reps a little bit faster and just get a different feel out of that workout. So from time to time, don't be afraid to kind of play with this and see if you can kind of spur a little bit more out of you. Now, keeping a good weightlifting journal, keeping up with what you're doing and the results that you're seeing, again, is another critical element to doing this evaluation, which again is why I'm a big fan of journaling, because you'll be able to put in there what you're doing and see how it's progressing. And if you start noticing the plateau, you notice that your strength gains are not going the way you want them to, it's a time for you to reevaluate. And if you have any questions about reevaluating workouts, it's a great time to pull in a coach or a personal trainer that can sit down and kind of talk about what you've done, where you're going, what you're doing, and maybe they can give you some additional exercises. I know I've worked with clients that were struggling to get really kind of any gains on their squats. They were kind of getting a little bit mediocre results on there, and they really wanted to kind of step it up a bit. I would introduce additional exercises that would kind of change out what they were doing, what they were seeing, and over time, they realized that it improved their form and improved their approach, and they got stronger, got a lot stronger. So, take the time to do some reevaluation from time to time, just so your program doesn't get stagnant and you start, make sure that you're really continuing to see results. And then number 11 is educate. So as you kind of start getting into this, obviously you're listening to this podcast, and that tells me that you have a desire to learn, and that's awesome. Because you can learn so much from podcasts, from blogs, from books, from magazines. So I encourage you to constantly be absorbing things around you, trying to learn new techniques, trying to learn new things. Now, just realize that not everybody is you, and not everybody understands what your needs and your desires and your situation, your hormones, your sleep, your food, your workouts, your time schedule, your stress, all the different things that impact you. No one else knows what that is. So you're going to have to take the education that you get, and then you're going to have to right size it for yourself. So there's a little bit of self-experimentation that goes with this education, because there's just going to be some elements of things that people do that's not going to work for you. Someone could sit there and say, you need to do heavy sets. So just, 1 to 2 lifts, 1 to 2 reps per set, and you need to do 20 of those. And then as soon as you get done with the rep, you need to run 5 miles. And maybe that's just not you. You're not trying to be a CrossFit athlete. You're not trying to be, this huge bodybuilder, and you're not on the steroids or stuff that they're doing to get to that level. So their workouts, their things might not work for you. And they're not going to tell you, yeah, I'm doing steroids so I can do this and keep up with this and, not have to rest and make sure I can do all. They're not going to say that. They're going to say, this works for me, this worked for my clients. Yeah, whatever. But make sure you're taking the time to understand what's out there, understand how it can be applied to you, and constantly have that curiosity, because the curiosity will drive you to benefit even more as you start picking up on what these new things are. There's constantly new things coming about, opportunities for you to, for people to tweak and have fun and enjoy and learn and grow. The science gets better, the training gets better, but just making sure that you're listening to the right voices, that you're comfortable what they're saying resonates with what you know. So as you learn something, you're going to build this body of knowledge. And as you build the body of knowledge, you'll end up with your own good little BS detector, and you'll know when someone's telling you something that you just know is factually incorrect. But you'll know what works for you over time. And that's really what this is all about, is kind of almost building in your head a user manual for your body, so you know what works for you. Now, over time, your body might change, so you might have to change some of your paradigms, but that's all a part of this education. It's just really kind of saying, I know over time, I'm going to learn something about myself through the education and through all the work and through all this stuff. I'm going to know what works for me, and I'm going to keep pushing those boundaries and making that happen. So again, I'll go quickly over the 11. I know this has gone long, but again, number 1, warm up. Very, very important to prevent injury. Number 2, have a purpose for what you're doing. Know why you're there, and really take the time to just make sure that every workout you do does either fit that purpose or it's just something you're going to enjoy doing. It's fun. Again, that's a purpose, but just understand that there's a purpose for you to be there, and that will help you be there. Now, the next is focus. You take focus and you apply purpose and focus together, and you know each time you're there, you're giving that workout its due reward. It's due. You're earning the time that you're there, and you know you're going to get the maximum benefit because you're focused on it. And then again, form. If you do poor form, you risk injury. And every time you injure yourself and you're out of the game, you're just going backwards. So again, focus on your form, learn good form. If you're in doubt whatsoever, get someone to watch you and get a trainer involved and make sure that you're using good form every single time. The next is consistency. You got to keep showing up and keep showing up. If you let a day go, okay, don't kill yourself over it, but keep consistently coming back, and that's going to be the payoff. That's the compounding. The next is push. You really got to be pushing that bubble, because if you're not pushing that bubble, it won't grow. But you can't push it too hard or you'll pop the bubble and you'll hurt yourself. So again, just the right push. And again, that comes from just the consistency of doing it, and now pushing and feeling and being really, really aware and the focus and attention of what you're there to do. The next is rest. So again, push, but rest. The next one then is nutrition. So we're making sure we've got the nutrition we need to build our body. We've got the nutrition we need for to fuel our workouts. So again, you're not, a lot of people, do I eat my calories back after I do this workout? And the answer is absolutely. You're already scheduled. If you're trying to lose some little bit of weight, maybe you've scheduled your calories to be a little bit under what your daily needs are. Then you go to exercise, like I'm gonna get skinnier faster, and that's not how it works. You basically are damaging your metabolism, and you're not providing the energy for the next workout. So the next workout's not going to be as energy intense as the one you just did, because you didn't feed your body to do that. So make sure you're giving your body the energy it needs, and then enjoy the food that you're eating, because that's extremely important to make sure that you're getting good quality food and doing it right and enjoying your meals, and really that satiation of enjoyment and taking your time and really making it an event, making it a meal versus, So this is the difference in dining and eating. Doing it really quick and just having to throw down, that's not getting the nutrition the way your body needs it. It needs to go through that digestion process, which is a slow, gradual enjoyment aspect. And then hydration. Water is the best hydrator there is. You're going to get good hydration from vegetables and fruits. Again, kind of low key on the fruits because, again, there's a lot of sugar there, but making sure that you're getting good hydration through your food, through your water, that's going to help you work harder. And then occasionally go back and reevaluate what you've done, the progress you're seeing, and determine if you need to make some pivots. Make sure do you need to make some changes in your programming? Would this be a good time for you to kind of mix things up? And then the final one is education. So slowly taking the time to educate yourself and find the things that work for you. That way you can apply them and you'll be a better you tomorrow. Join us on Facebook as we enjoy sharing our gratitudes for 40 Plus Fitness Podcast Gratitude Month. Go to 40plusfitnesspodcast.com/group. Next time on the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast, I'll be covering something very close to my heart. My mother has shingles. I've done some research, which I'll share with you then. Until then, have a happy and healthy day.